Let's jump into this first story from timcast.com. Marco Rubio canvasser reportedly attacked, told Republicans not allowed in the neighborhood. He was also campaigning for DeSantis as well. I believe he was wearing a Rubio hat and a DeSantis shirt. Or I'm sorry, he was wearing a DeSantis hat and a Rubio shirt. The campaign volunteer, who was wearing apparel supportive of the Florida senator and the Florida governor DeSantis, reportedly suffered internal bleeding and will require facial reconstructive surgery. Rubio reported on Monday. Hialeah Mayor Esteban Steve Bovo said the police department has reportedly made an arrest, though did not provide further details, citing a lack of information, the Miami Herald reported. So apparently, Rubio is saying it was 4 guys. Now, this is where it gets fun. Because Charlie Crist has come out himself, and I can respect this. This is the Democrat running for governor saying there's no place for violence in politics. Senator Rubio, your canvasser is in our prayers, and we look forward to those responsible being brought to justice. We have Val Deming saying, I have zero tolerance for any violence against any person for any reason. Those responsible for attacking a canvasser last night should be arrested and prosecuted to the fullest extent of the law. Now, I absolutely can respect those calling this out. The Democrats calling this out, the violence. But here we go. From the Miami New Times, Rubio supporter attacked while canvassing is identified as apparent white supremacist past. Okay. Now, the first thing is a bunch of leftists pointed this out. Antifa came out and said he deserved it. They were tweeting this, saying that, oh, it turns out he was a white supremacist, therefore he deserves it. I think he's Cuban and he's not white, so I don't know if white supremacist makes sense. You know, you can call him something else, I guess, but if you want to call him fascist. So this guy gets mercilessly beaten, and the left immediately finds a justification for why. I can only assume then they're probably the ones who beat him, and this was their justification. But the first thing I'm going to say, yeah, I don't like his opinions, if that's the case. You know, I've seen some screenshots of things he may have posted. They're accusing him of posting. Really, really awful stuff. Some of the worst of the worst. Does not justify mercilessly beating someone to the point where they need surgery and they're internally bleeding. And then I want to point out, if the Democrats want to keep playing games like this, we could now say governor candidate Charlie Crist defended white supremacists today. That's the game they play in the media. So if they want to come out and attack this guy who was just beaten and try and make it seem like there's justification for it, then we can point out, oh, Democrats are defending white supremacists, right? The simple thing is no violence, condemn it all. The dude can say bad things. I don't think it's relevant to why he was brutally beaten right now. This is the kind of stuff we have to call for de-escalation on.
I just think it's crazy that they're always, the right is the real threat to America or democracy or anything. But if we look at these attacks over and over again, it's always conservatives that are getting run over by cars or beaten to a bloody pulp, or Rand Paul's getting attacked by his neighbor. It's not them that are getting brutalized all the time. It's our side that's getting brutalized all the time. There's
a video going viral right now of, well, I will point out, just for the sake of, I can hear all the leftists screaming, Charlottesville, when, you know, James Fields, I think, was it, he ran the car.
I have my own theory on that, but that's fine. Like, if you actually watch the footage, but
I mean, you know, there's a lot to say. Antifa does tend to be the one, and BLM and these left extremists going around causing all the violence. And there's a video right now that I retweeted, where it's like a guy and his girlfriend, I'm assuming, they're walking and Antifa is beating them. And then even an Antifa medic grabs the woman and she's screaming. And I'm like, that's an important thing to highlight for people, is that the Antifa people will put red crosses on their arms for 2 reasons. It's a disguise. So they can go and beat people and go, I'm just a medic. And then and then also as propaganda. When the police arrest them, then they post photos saying, the police are arresting medics, so why are they doing it? And it's because they're psychotic extremist terrorists who are beating people.
I'm looking at the article that you mentioned here. I'm trying to find out the exact sources of what they're using here. But they're also reporting that the police report is not mentioning that there was a political dispute, nor does it look or indicate that there was a specific targeting of this specific individual. So what's really going on here? Are they just trying to justify it? Was there any reason? Is there someone really going through Twitter, finding someone on the street that's a niche person saying, hey, you did this in a couple years ago? I highly doubt that.
No. Exactly no one's saying that.
I know.
What they're saying is, this guy was canvassing. Some people saw his shirt and his hat, beat him up, and then when the news broke from Rubio that this guy was brutally beaten and told you're not supposed to be here, Antifa immediately rushed out to dig up the guy's past. Now, here's the other issue. I don't know that's even true because the photos they posted do not look like this guy unless he dropped 50 pounds.
Yeah, he looks like a Spanish guy too, which
Right.
doesn't really add up to a good white supremacist there in the story that they have there. So again, a lot of the things don't make sense here. We don't know exactly what happened. We weren't there. There's no video of the incident, but we have to understand that our society is becoming more violent. When we look at crimes, especially in major cities, there is an epidemic happening here, and whether it's because of the destruction of our mental health or just our political class becoming more hyperbolic by the day, it was just a few weeks ago where Biden stood behind a huge podium with red lights behind him declaring that MAGA people are the true danger to this country. And when you have such sensationalistic, hyperbolic language, you're going to have people taking action on that language, which is pretty dangerous for everyone involved in the political sphere.